Learn a lot this morning, be motivated, and so with that being said, this is Jonathan Rivers. Jonathan is a local citizen of the community, grew up in Columbus, went to middle school, high school, all of our local, Shaw High School, wasn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Played sports growing up here in Columbus. Went on to the University of Auburn, played football at Auburn, is that right?
Yeah, for a short time.
Played football at the University of Auburn, so War Eagle. I know you Bama fans welcome him here. But anyway, Jonathan is taking a new venture recently and doing some motivational speaking and starting a new company. And he's very energizing, and I'm excited to have him with us. So with that being the case, I'll turn it over to Jonathan.
Appreciate that, Jim.
Thank you, bro.
What's going on, everybody? Y'all give it up, give it up, give it up. That's what I'm talking about. Listen to that ovation I got. I hadn't said a word yet. That's how you get things done right there, all right? Like Jeremy told you, my name is Jonathan Rivers, and we'll get to all that later. But we're talking about one thing today, cultivating a winning culture. I just want everybody to put your eyes on the screen and take a look at this. Pay attention to not only what you see, but pay attention to what you don't see. Just take a look at it. Pay attention to what's on the screen right here and look at what you don't see.
Bag of money.
Huh?
Bag of money.
Bag of money? We're going to talk about motives in a little bit. I appreciate that. But look at you right here. You don't see anybody's face, do you? You don't know what individuals are in this slide. The only thing you see is a trophy. The only thing you see is a celebration of a championship. The only thing you see are hopes and dreams being realized right there. You see hands, but you don't see any faces. Because see, in the game of life, in the game of business, in the game of developing a winning culture, faces don't matter. Heart matters. Desire matters. And that's the culture that you're developing. So we're going to get into that a lot today, cultivating a winning culture. So I just want you to remember this. Are you in the game of we or are you in the game of me?
We.
Absolutely. That's the bottom line. Are you in the game of we or are you in the game of me?
We.
And the way you answer that question will be a developing culture. I'm already crunk right here. She's going to have me ready all day long. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. All right. So a little bit about myself. I want all the Georgia fans in here to stand up for me. All the Georgia fans. That's what I'm talking about. All the Alabama fans, stand up for me. No, Georgia fans, y'all stay up too. Y'all, Alabama and Georgia fans, absolutely. Now, y'all can go ahead and walk on out. We ain't going to have this with y'all today, all right? Y'all have a seat. Y'all have a seat. Where my Auburn fans at? Throw your hands in the air. War Eagle, everybody. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. But like Jeremy told you, I'm a Columbus-bred guy. Went to Shaw High School, went to Auburn University, graduated with a bachelor's in marketing, went on to get my MBA from the University of Phoenix. I'm a football and sports enthusiast. I'm a fanatic. I love it. But the same way I look at life, I look at things beyond the surface. And that's what we're going to talk about today, look at things beyond the surface. I've done some columnist work with the Eco-Latino Courier newspaper here in Columbus, Georgia. I had the privilege and honor of co-hosting a college football show on the CW called Football Nightly Down South for about 3 years. Loved it immensely. Got to talk about sports all day long. Got to talk about sports all day long. All right, so I'm not going to spend too much time on myself because this is about you. And anytime you come to a training, anytime you come to any type of group setting, you ask one question, what's in it for me? Let's be honest, right? You want to see what's in it for me. You want to see what the value is. You want to see how you will grow from this situation. So just talking about some of the objectives, we already talked about developing a winning culture. We will discuss principles and applications on how to develop a winning culture, because I'll tell you something right now. If you're not intentional about developing a winning culture, you will be intentional about developing a negative one. It's that plain and simple. We're talking about purpose here. Everybody's here for a reason. And everybody's reason is different. I got an opportunity to shake some hands and meet some guys here. I know a few of you from outside of the business. If you want to live your purpose in life, you have to make the decision to live on purpose. Do everything you do with intention and make sure that you're not living your life on cruise control. So we're going to discuss that. Quality speech. Look, I'm big on this. Y'all think, hey, because I'm a motivational speaker, I like to motivate people. I like to give people direction as well, and you're taking the wrong direction if you're not being positive. We're going to talk about some stories. I'm going to share some anecdotes with you guys. Hey, I love telling stories. That's what I do. I have 4 children, so I have to tell and read stories every night. That is a part of who I am, because it will help you understand where I'm coming from and analyze what we're talking about. Effectively communicate. You guys notice I have the word effectively right there? See, a lot of us think that we communicate, but we don't do it effectively. And for those of you that are married, I just celebrated my 8-year anniversary with my wife the other day, and I've learned one thing: I don't communicate that well. Or I don't listen one or the other. Let her tell us a different story. All right? Discover your why. This is important. We're going to talk about your why. We're going to talk about your desire. We're going to talk about the reason that you're not only here at Columbus Waterworks, but the reason you're living on this earth. And we're going to discuss what is it that drives you. See, everybody in here is driven by something. But what is it that drives you? What is it that keeps you going at night? What is it that wakes you up in the morning and says, if I don't do what I need to do to get it going, I'm going to suffer. I'm going to suffer. Embracing and resolving conflict. Show of hands, who in here likes conflict? Nobody? Well, this is going to be a great opportunity. Listen, conflict is necessary. I want you to realize what I just said. Conflict is necessary. Conflict will not create dissension. It is how you handle conflict that will create dissension. So we're going to discuss principles of how to not only embrace conflict, but how to work through it. Listen, and last but not least, becoming a true servant leader. The word leadership scares a lot of people, though, because to whom much is given, much is required. Leadership takes a lot of you. And we're going to discuss what it means to be a true leader. And I'm going to discuss a leader that I've read about, that I truly love in my life, that I feel like exhibits all of that. All right? So let's hit the ball rolling. Now, I want everybody to pay attention. I'm putting y'all to work before y'all work. I like it. That's what I'm going to do. Eyes on the screen for me. All right? I'm going to give you guys about a minute. I want everybody to read this sentence. Read it to yourself. Just take the time to read the sentence. And as you read it, I want you to count the F's in the sentence. Make sure you count the number of F's that are in the sentence. Take your time. I'm going to give you about 10 more seconds. Count the number of F's that are in this sentence. All right, everybody think they have a good idea of how many F's are in the sentence? We don't need any more time. We're good, right? Everybody good? Say word. Word. That's what I'm talking about. Now, everybody close your eyes. Everybody. Everybody close your eyes. Eyes closed. Eyes closed. Now, I just asked everybody to count the number of F's in the sentence, correct? Eyes closed. I got to hit that. There you go, bro. I see you, brother. All right. Now, what I want you to do is, I want somebody to stand up where you are with your eyes closed. Don't knock over your coffee, please, because I don't want you to blame me. I want somebody to stand up, and in that sentence you just read, tell me how many E's are in that sentence. Oh, don't open your eyes now. Hey. Are you Georgia, Alabama fans? I know how y'all like to try to get over now. Don't do that now. Take the time, think about that. How many E's are in this sentence? Somebody stand up for me. There has to be one person in this room that can tell me how many E's are in this sentence. Wow.
More than 10.
More than 10? Hey, that's a good guess, bro. That's a good guess. All right, everybody open your eyes for me. Man. So what just happened? I had everybody take about a minute and a half, 2 minutes to look at this slide and tell me how many F's were in the sentence. And then I had you close your eyes and tell me how many E's were in the sentence. Kind of threw everybody for a loop, didn't it? Yep. You were looking fastball. I got that curve on the outside part of the plate, didn't you? You didn't expect that, did you? So I'm going to lead into this. I want you to realize something. In that situation that you just went through, a lot of you probably felt like, man, this dude just tricked me. And see, in life, you have to understand one thing about life, it happens. But I want to tell you what success is predicated on. Success is predicated on how you are ready to handle a situation that you are not ready for. I'm going to say that one more time. How prepared are you for situations that happen to you in life that you are unprepared for? When you come to work every day, I know that there are multiple divisions in this job, and I know that you guys do a multitude of things. I guarantee you that everything you do on a daily basis changes, does it not? Nothing in here is the same daily, is it? It can be frustrating sometimes, can it? It can be hard sometimes, can it? You're either going to make excuses or you're going to make adjustments. That's bottom line. You guys could have said, man, you just told me F's. You didn't tell me E's. Doesn't matter what I told you. Life doesn't talk to you. Life just happens. The only thing that's certain in life is what? It's uncertainty. Change is inevitable. The question is, are you willing to adapt to the change as it happens? Let me tell you guys a quick story. So I have 4 children, like I told you, right? My oldest son is 10 years old now. Amazing football player, amazing baseball player, gets it done. Basketball player is like his daddy, he's not good, which is okay. All right? So I was outside with my oldest son and one of his cousins one day. And his cousin's name is Jacory. Jacory is 15 years old, and he's a sophomore in high school, and he's a very good football player as well. So one day they were outside shooting basketball. Now, I want to remind you guys about my background in sports. Played ball at Shaw, football and baseball, played ball at Auburn, was an all-state linebacker, all area, did all this stuff, broke school records in football and baseball, lettered in both sports from freshman to senior year. But as a basketball player, I was mediocre at best. Not because I didn't try, I just had no left hand. Couldn't really shoot that well. Playing defense was my motto because I gave full effort. So Jacory's outside one day, everybody, and he's shooting basketball. And when I mean he's shooting bricks, I mean he's missing everything but the backboard. I mean, Jacory's throwing up shots left and right, and I look at him, I was like, are you okay? I say, what's wrong, bro? I wasn't trying to make him feel bad, but I sure wasn't going to tell him he was doing a great job. So Jacory looked at me and then looked at the basketball after missing 6 or 7 shots clear across the barn, couldn't hit the backside of a barn if he tried. And do you know what he looked me in my eyes and said? He said, Jonathan, it's got to be the ball. I said, really? I said, okay, give me the rock. So now, again, I just told you about my sports background. And what I was about to do took a lot of guts because I knew that my jumper wasn't that great. So as I got the ball, I said, God help me. Because I got to make this shot. So I said, give me the ball, Jacory. So Jacory came the ball. I started to dribble. I put up one shot. Whoo, nothing but net. Now, if y'all have ever shot basketball and you see that first shot go in, what starts to happen to your confidence level? It starts to go up. So your boy started getting crunk now, right? So I took a step to the left, took another jumper. Woo, nothing but net. 2 in a row. Oh, I started going between my legs, behind my back. 3 in a row. Woo! Oh, I was on. 4 in a row. I hit a step back like John on. 5 in a row. Hit the 6 in a row. I went for that 7th shot, and I thought against my better judgment, I put the ball down because I wanted to quit while I was ahead, okay? I didn't want this demonstration to be destroyed. So after I hit 6 straight shots on nothing but net, and after watching Jacory miss everything but the backside of the barn, I took that same basketball. I looked at the basketball, and I looked at Jacory, and I said, Jacory, is it the ball or is it you? Is it the ball or is it you? Is it the job or is it you? Is it the customer or is it you? Is it your family or is it you? Is it life or is it you? See, we can walk around and we can wallow and we can say, hey, life isn't fair, or this shouldn't have happened to me, and we can make excuses or we can make adjustments. Because I want you to realize there are 2 types of people in life. The first type of people are called change agents. The second type of people are called complainers. The only thing that's different between these 2 people is the way they react to situations, because they both look at sets of problems, but change agents look at problems and say, how can I solve these problems? Complainers look at problems and say, how can I create more problems? How do you do things here? What is your culture? What is your mindset? Because see, you have an internal culture. You have a value system. Everything you do is done with a value system. The food you eat is done with a value system. The shows you watch is done with a value system. The people whom you correspond with is done with a value system. The things you value are the things that you tend to go towards. So are you running towards being a complainer, or are you running towards being a change agent? So the next time a situation arises in your life and you think it's unfair, and the next time somebody tells you to count the number of F's in a sentence, and then they tell you to close your eyes and look at the number of E's, I want you to make the decision to become a change agent rather than a complainer, and see how you're going to fix the problem rather than exacerbate it. Listen. I am a guy. Has anybody ever been to the Cheesecake Factory in Atlanta? Love it. Maggiano's in Atlanta. Love it. These are places I went on my honeymoon when I was in Orlando. I love pasta. I love food because it's high quality, and so is the service, right? So when you go to eat something at a restaurant, you want quality. When you buy clothes, you want quality. When you meet people and try to build relationships, you want quality relationships. That's how life is predicated, and that's what it's built on. So why do we want everything in our life quality? Houses, cars, but sometimes we wake up in the morning and don't take the time to exhibit quality speech. Or we don't take the time to have a quality attitude. I want you to read this quote over here today. Speak when you're angry and you will make the best speech you'll ever regret. Woo, woo. True statement. Speak when you're angry and you'll make the best speech that you'll ever regret. You know, there's a story about a young man, about 13, 14 years old, and he was living with his father. And his father was real handy. His father loved to build things, and his father was building a fence one summer. And his father said, I'm going to build a fence to go all the way around this house to make sure that we're safe. Okay, but the son was very negative. When the sun shined, he said it was too hot. When it rained, he said it was too wet. When nothing happened, he said, I can't believe there's no sun or rain. His father was like, good gracious almighty, man, you complain about everything. You complain about not complaining enough. So the father looked at the son one day and said, son, you're too negative. He says, everything you say is not life-giving, it's life-taking. Everything you say puts people down. Everything you say is not a benefit to anyone, so I'm going to tell you something. Every time over the next 2 weeks that you say something that's negative, you say something that is not affirming, you've got a nail into my fence. I want you to take this hammer and continue to pierce nails into my fence. He said, okay, Dad. So over the next 2 weeks, he spoke about 40 or 50 consistently negative comments. And he was outside, boom, 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 boom. Hammering those nails, boom, 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 boom. Hammering those nails, boom, 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 boom. Hammering those nails, boom, 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 boom. See, what the son didn't realize, though, because of his negative speech, he was being put in a position where he was becoming more tired. He was becoming put in a position where he was becoming less than advantageous in terms of reaching his goals. He was now having to do things he didn't desire doing because why? His speech was continuously negative. So then he decided to make that change. He said, you know what? I'm going to stop being negative in my life. His father said, okay, I like that you're coming to me. You like to make a change. So every time that you say something that is positive, that is life affirming, you get to take a nail out of their fence. So he was like, I can do it, Dad. So no joke, over the next 2 to 3 weeks, he was completely positive. Like, you didn't know who this kid was. You didn't know who this kid was. He looked the same, talked the same, walked the same, smelled the same, but he didn't talk the same. So his father was like, you're making strides. You're like, Dad, listen, I get to take more nails out. I get to take more nails out. I get to take more nails out. And his father said, son, over the last 2 weeks, you've been nothing but positive. I'm so proud of you. I want to show you something. So he walked with his father outside, right? Came outside and said, hey, come here, look at my fence for me. He said, yeah, Dad, look at all the nails I took out. He said, absolutely, I'm so proud of you. He said, I want you to pay attention to this fence that has all these nails removed. He said, I want you to look at it. The nails are gone, but the holes are still there. The nails are gone, but the holes are still there. When you're having a conversation with somebody, when you're at work, when you're talking to a customer, and you don't think people are listening to you, they hear you. You can directly and indirectly impact somebody's life, impact somebody's spirit, simply by speaking words that are not life-affirming. Guys, let me tell you something about ships. I don't know a lot about boats. I'm not a sailor. I swim, and that's about it. But I know one thing about boats. They don't sink because of the water that's around them. They sink because of the water that gets inside of them. You puncture your ship when you continue to speak negative about yourself. I want you to think about that. When you're negative, think about your body language. When you're negative, think about how much you drain a room. Think about the individual that's always being negative that walks in the room when you're trying to have a good time. You don't want to be around that individual. They're life draining. See, sticks and stones may break your bones, but negative speech will kill your spirit. Filthy communication corrupts good manners. What is the culture that you are building? Are you being intentional about the conversations that you're having? You may think just because you're talking to one of your homeboys, one of your homegirls, you can say whatever you want to. No. You can't say whatever you want to, because whatever you want to say may not be advantageous to you growing as an individual, helping somebody else grow. Listen, guys, you're in the line of service. You don't understand you're in the line of changing people's lives. See, you may not see it, but I see it. Everything you do is done with a purpose. So are you purposeful in the conversations that you have? Think about the conversations you had before you even walked in the door today. I do everything I do for a reason. I came in here and I shook as many hands as I could, and I wanted to see the looks on your faces, and I listened to the conversation you guys were having as I was here. Oh, I was paying attention. That's what I do. I pay attention to my surroundings because I want to understand the culture. Are you developing a winning culture by the conversation that you are having on a day-to-day basis? And the one thing you have to realize is personal and professional development are one and the same. Personal and professional development are one and the same. They are synonymous with one another. Because you ain't leaving here becoming a different person when you get to the house. The same thing you do at the house will be the same thing you do here. I tell my baseball team and my football teams all the time, the way you practice will be the way you play. The way you warm up will be the way you play. The way you hit in the cages or the way you tackle when we're doing drills will be the way you tackle in the game and the way you hit in the game. The way you speak when you're around one person will be the way you speak when you're around 1,000 people. Can you exhibit quality speech? Can you pierce somebody's heart and uplift them rather than shooting them full of holes and making them drown? Yo, why? I want you to pay attention to this gentleman. Does anybody know who that guy is? Anybody? Ray Charles? Oh, I was about to say that's not right. You know what? I didn't know who this guy was either until 2012. This guy's name is Chad LeClos. He's an Olympic swimmer. You know what Chad LeClos did in the 2012 Olympics in London that really nobody has ever done in the Olympics? Who'd he beat? Say it again. Michael Phelps. If I would have put Michael Phelps up there, y'all would know who that was, right? So there's a reason I put Chad LeClose up there. This guy's from South Africa. Let me tell you a story about Chad LeClose. So Chad LeClose ended up beating Michael Phelps in the 200-meter butterfly. And you know what Chad LeClose did? Chad LeClose took that medal. He went back to his native country of South Africa, and he had a parade. He got caught because you know what his sole reason of swimming was? To beat Michael Phelps. That was his why. His why when it came to swimming was to beat Michael Phelps. So when he beat Michael Phelps, he thought he made it. He was on top of the world. He was like, hey, I'm here, baby. I'm the Olympic gold champion. I don't care what y'all say in America. I'm that guy. So I love watching the Olympics. I watch different events. Track and field is my favorite event in the Olympics, but I watch swimming because Michael Phelps, he personifies greatness. And I like watching anybody do anything that personifies greatness. That's just what I am. I don't care what you do. I love that talent. So Chad LeClose at the 2016 Olympics, he and Michael Phelps are sitting in backstage in the room getting ready, and Michael Phelps is just focused right here. He was like, hey, I got to get back on track. I've been training hard. I ever have. He's just looking forward. Chad LeClose is over there just looking at Michael Phelps like, hey, yeah, I got you. He's standing in front of him like, I just beat you 4 years ago. He's completely focused on Michael Phelps rather than being focused on the race. See, his why is distorted. He's focused on somebody else rather than focusing on his greatness. So you can see it. If you guys go back and YouTube this video in the 2016 Olympics, you will see this guy over here, Chad LeClose, as he's swimming. Michael Phelps is in the lane right next to him. Michael Phelps is swimming, looking forward. Where is this guy looking? At Michael Phelps. He's like this. Where's Mike? Where's Mike? The whole time. And in record-breaking fashion, Michael Phelps takes back the gold in the 200-meter butterfly. So I want you to think about this. Michael Phelps' desire was winning that race and focusing on that race. Chad LeClose's desire was simply beating Michael Phelps. See, there are two types of motivation in this world. There's extrinsic motivation and there's intrinsic motivation. External and internal. See, I want you guys to do something. I want you to remove the carrot. Remove it. Because if somebody has to dangle a carrot in front of you for you to be motivated, when the carrot goes away, where's your motivation? Where's your desire? Where's the love? Where's the passion? Let me tell you guys a secret. If you're not passionate within, you'll continue to be without. But without what? Without everything you want. Without your hopes, without your dreams, without your aspirations, without another job that's going to put you in a new money bracket, new tax bracket for your family, without any opportunity to change your life because you're focusing on somebody else. Listen, winners focus on winning and losers focus on winners. Winners focus on winning. And by winning, I mean by getting better each and every day. Because if you want to become an ultimate winner, you have to understand what it means to compete. But to understand what it means to compete, you have to understand whom to compete against. You never ever in your life should compete against the next individual next to you. You should compete against the individual that you were yesterday. Look in the mirror. That's your only competition. Because if I'm competing against you every day, sir, and you're only giving me 80% and I can beat you at 85%, I'm not getting better. I'm getting over on myself. I'm just getting by. And if you want to live a life of just getting by, hey, compete against somebody else. Put yourself in position to race somebody because they're slower than you. Put somebody else in position next to you who's only been on the job 2 years. You've been on the job 7 years. You know the job 3 times better than they do, and make sure that you're compared to them so you can look good. Yeah, you may look good, but are you progressing though? Are you getting better? See, what is your motivation? Why are you here? He told you, I'm a motivational speaker because I'm in this business to change lives, guys. Is it going to pay me? Absolutely. Do I want to make $1 million? Absolutely. I'm not shy about that because me making $1 million is going to make sure that everybody else around me is eating. And I'm not just talking about my family. I've got goals and aspirations for this community, and it's going to happen. That's what drives me. And if you don't pay me, I'm going to tell you something. What? I've spoken at so many events for nothing. You guys remember that TV show I told you I did on the CW for 3 years? Somebody asked me how much you got paid. Somebody asked me. 0. I heard my, bro, you did a college football show on television for 3 years and did it for free? Absolutely. Because sometimes the payment is not monetary. Sometimes the payment is experience. Sometimes the payment is exposure. Sometimes the payment is just seeing the look on somebody's face when you bless them and put them in a position to live out their purpose. So what's your why? If you don't know your why, you need to find it. Because if you don't have it, you will not be successful in life. You will not be successful on this job if you don't know your why. You know, one of my greatest poems, I didn't write it, but that I love, is that our greatest fear is not that we're inadequate, but we're powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. Wow. So see, some people don't want to step into their why. They don't want to step into their purpose because they're afraid of the light. They're afraid of shining because they know if they shine, other people will ask them to help them and they don't feel adequate enough. Everybody in here is adequate enough. Everybody is purposed. Everybody in here has a special set of skills that can change the landscape of Columbus Waterworks forever and change the landscape of your family. But what is your why? Why are you doing it? What motivates you? Let the fire inside of you burn so bright that other people can see it even if they never met you. I guarantee you there's not one person in this room that can say that man that talked to us today didn't shake my hand or didn't smile at me when he spoke. I'm intentional about this stuff because my why is trying to help make you better, but I have to first make myself better. If I come in here and don't develop my speaking skills, if I don't develop my listening skills, if I don't develop my research skills, how good am I to you? I'm wasting your time. How are you developing winning a culture by defining your why? Because see, when you define your why, you empower other people to define their why. Remove the carrot. Don't let somebody else hold the keys to your success. There's one person in this world that will determine whether or not you are successful and live the life God has called you to live, and that's you. That's it. See, your why will get you over the hump. Your why will allow you to keep moving even if success is not around the corner. You know, Martin Luther King Jr. said one time that you got to take the first step even if you don't see the staircase. Your why will keep you moving toward that staircase even if you don't see it. You may have been on this job 15 years and feel like you haven't been moving forward. The 16th year may be your time. It may be your time. See, when you start on your goals, it's never a good time to quit. See, that's why I keep going back to your why. Your why will keep you going, guys. But if somebody else determines your why, that means they're setting your standard. And if somebody else is setting your standard, that means they can lower it for you because they don't want you to be successful. And the amount of people in your life that have told you that you won't be successful because of your lack of education, because of your where you come from, because of your socioeconomic status, because of your family. I know your daddy, I know your mama, I know where y'all came from. You'll never be anything. If they keep you from becoming successful, it's not their fault. It's your fault because their desire for you not to succeed was greater than your desire to succeed. What is your why? How is your why cultivating a winning culture here? All right, now I need a victim. A volunteer, I'm sorry. I need a victim or a volunteer. Come on up, bro. Come on up. Y'all give him a hand right here. I'll give it up for him. Y'all give it up for him. Come on. Give it up for him. Now, I said victim for a reason. He just doesn't know what he's about to get himself into, okay? He don't know what I'm saying. What's your name, brother?
Savon.
Savon. I met Savon when he came in, smiling, shooting my hand the same way. I want you to stand right here, Savon. All right? So, Savon, listen. I want you to be a Columbus Waterworks worker, okay? I'm a customer. I just want you to tell me that you were coming out to fix my pipes. My water burst 2 weeks ago. You were coming out to fix my pipes, and I want you to act like you have to be a week late because something happened. Mr. Savon, listen, I called you guys 2 weeks ago. My water pipe burst. My wife giving me heck. She's not smelling like she used to when we got married. I can't deal with this. My kids aren't getting bathed. I need y'all to fix my water pipes. What's the problem?
Oh, well, we're going to get it fixed for you.
You said that 2 weeks ago, sir. How you going to get it fixed?
We're gonna get it solved for you. We're finna call my people right now.
Who are your people, man? I got people too, and they ain't fixing my water pipe. Who are your people?
Whatever we got to do to get your pipe fixed, we're going to get it fixed for you, sir.
Well, no, I need to know what you're going to do, so I need a plan of action. See, I'm an individual that looks at things, and I break them down. You talking about a plan of, please tell me what you're going to do. Because all I got to do is I go to Alabama to get my water service. Y'all been here all these years, and I can't get my pipes fixed. They've been broken 2 weeks.
Well, sir, I'm finna call him boss right now. We're finna get you.
What's his name?
Ahmed.
No, I need it done now. All right?
Okay, I got you. I'm finna call him right now. We're gonna get the problem solved for you as soon as we can.
Appreciate it, but y'all give him a hand. Y'all give him a hand. Clap it up for him. Clap it up for him. Clap it up for him. Now, Savon, right? Hey, Savon, listen, he was like, this dude crazy in the mud. Now, listen. Hey, I'm going to tell you, don't let the short stature in the suit fool you. I get grimy if I need to, okay? I get grimy if I need to. Now, listen, the purpose of that is you've all had that kind of interaction with a customer, correct? You might have had that interaction with a peer, with a coworker. You understand what I'm saying? And when it comes to customers, I want you to realize something. The customer is not always right. I ain't going to lie to you. I don't believe in that. I've never believed in that. Because I know they come in and talk about, hey, this is $12. Sir, the sign says $15. Are you blind? But I don't say that to the customer. I want you to realize something. The customer is not always right, but the customer is always the customer. The customer is not always right, but the customer is always the customer. And what you have to realize is that in order to effectively communicate with somebody, you have to hear them out. Guys, the difference between hearing and listening, okay? Hearing is simply using your ears. That's all hearing does. When you guys came in, there were a multitude of conversations going on. You remember I told you guys I was listening to what you were saying? There are a multitude of conversations going on. But I was simply hearing the conversations, which means I heard the audible, right? I heard the noise, but I couldn't hear the actual conversation. Unless you were standing right here near me when I was talking to Jimmy. I couldn't hear the actual conversation. I was simply hearing because I was just doing it with my ears. See, hearing is one thing, but listening is another thing. See, hearing involves your ears, but listening involves your heart. I want you to understand that listening involves your heart because listening involves the desire to comprehend what the next individual is saying to you. That is actively listening. And in order to effectively communicate from one person to the next or from one group to the next, you have to actively listen with your heart. And I want you to employ something called the 80-20 rule, guys and ladies. The 80-20 rule is simply this. When you're having a conversation, do your best to listen 80% of the time and talk 20% of the time. And the 20% of the time you speak should be predicated mostly on you confirming what the other person just said to you. See, when we're talking to a customer, when we're trying to resolve conflict, when we're trying to resolve an issue, we want to spend so much time trying to be understood. Hey, listen what I'm saying. I just told you we don't have a lot of people at the job. We don't have a lot of people. We got people off. Stop trying to be understood and start trying to understand what's going on. Conflict is good, everybody. In this workplace right now, conflict is good because conflict will create and cultivate change. But it is not about being absent of conflict. It is about how you handle conflict. How you handle conflict. If you have an uproar from a customer, ma'am, sir, I understand your problem. Listen to what they're saying. So what you're saying is your water pipes have been burst for 2 weeks. You don't have any water. Things are not smelling well in your house. And you're really put out when it comes to going to work. Do you understand that? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going through. I understand your pain and I apologize. We're going to get it done as soon as possible. I was having a conversation with Jeremy 2 weeks ago and I said, you know what the number one thing that customers want to feel? They want to feel like they're valued. They want to feel like they're heard. I just told you earlier, life happens. So if something transpires and you can't get to the job when you need to or you can't handle the situation the way you need to, just tell them that. Hey, listen, we told you we'd be out Wednesday. This is Monday, I'm calling out. We told you we'd be out Wednesday. We told you we'd come out and fix your pipes. We had backlog and jams or whatever. We had business that we had to take care of. You are still a priority. I do apologize, but we will get to you as soon as possible. Be proactive. Stop waiting to react on what happens and go out there and get it done first. Because if you're proactive, they will feel valued. And a lot of times, people just want to feel like they're in the loop. If you put them in the loop, they'll be like, hey, I understand. I appreciate that. See, that's true service. That's letting them know that they are still a valued customer. And not only that, they are still a valued individual. And you value them enough to call them and let them know that you will not be able to take care of the obligation that you said you would, but you didn't just leave them there hanging. That's how you take care of people. And when it comes to your peers, guys, listen, communication is hard. I don't want you to sit here and think communication is easy. Communication is a very hard thing to grasp because everybody is so different. But that's where communication is beautiful because you have to be able to embrace the different values and ideals that people have. This one guy or this one lady may have been here 10 years and have a way of doing things. You may be doing it a different way. Listen to what they have to say because in every situation, there's an opportunity to learn. Even if you don't apply it in that situation, now you know what? Well, this is something that I don't think would benefit me here, but it's good that I know it now. Why? Because I can be able to show somebody else. We can't run from conflict. We can't run from adversity. See, conflict or adversity, a lot of people look at them as roadblocks. Man, if I get into a conversation with this guy, hey, I don't want to tell this man that I'm not comfortable on my job or these people around here are not helping me because I don't want to be ostracized. I don't want to go to somebody and express what you feel. Closed mouths don't get fed around here. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door shall be open. Ask and ye shall receive. If you can't communicate what you want, how do you expect to get what you want? If you can't communicate the needs you need businessly and professionally, how can you expect to receive the knowledge professionally to get where you want to be? Why be afraid of growing and communicating and getting better? And I want you to think about this. When somebody is dealing with something in life, or somebody is going through something, man, listen, I'm just not feeling well. I feel like, life is really taking a hold of me. Life is really breaking me down. Tell me more about that. You know what we want to do a lot of times? Oh, man, you know what? I know life is killing me too. I mean, I feel like I was at the street light the other day, I almost got hit. I just lost my job. Now the conversation has shifted from them, and it's all about you now. Tell me more about that. Why is it so important to you? Why do you feel like not moving forward in your job is going to keep you stagnant from where you need to go in life? Tell me why being in this job is going to change your family dynamic. Why? Ask why. Ask why, because when you're asking why, you are pursuing your why, which means you're pursuing your purpose, which means you're valuing that other individual. That's what that is, guys. Effectively listen rather than simply hearing what somebody is saying. Now, I want you to pay attention to the title, No Service, No Leadership. You see how I put the N-O in bold? Does everybody recognize that? See, I did that for a reason, because this is twofold. You have to know K-N-O-W, comprehend service, in order to comprehend leadership. But if you don't have service, there is no leadership. One of the best leaders, because he was the best servant ever, in my opinion, is King David. Love King David. King David was a servant to his core before he even became a king. See, everybody thinks about David and says, David slayed Goliath. David killed the 9'9" giant that nobody in the Israelite army wanted to kill, not even his brothers. That's true. But see, you don't understand what David was doing before he slayed Goliath. See, David was sitting there tending to his father's sheep. He wasn't in battle. He was the youngest. He was the smallest. Nobody asked him to fight because they felt like he couldn't do it. They were like, man, you're puny, bro. You can't get the job done. This is where you need to be. You know what David did not one time when he had to tend to his father's sheep? Never complained. Never got an attitude. Never said, I'm better than this. Because he knew that serving is what made him better. And see, serving put him in the opportunity to kill that lion, to kill that bear that tried to come on and kill that father's sheep. And service got him to the point where killing that lion put him in position to understand how to kill Goliath. See, do you not understand what I'm saying right now? Service put him in position to do things that were greater. Service put him in position to become equipped with the skills to do something that nobody else had the heart to do. Serving his father. When he killed Goliath, what was he doing? He was serving his people. But I'm going to tell you the most inspiring thing about David in my mind. I'm going to tell you the most inspiring thing. See, there was a king named King Saul. Right? Jonathan was David's best friend, and Saul was Jonathan's father. And Saul hated David. Why? Because David got more shine than he did. Everybody say, hey, Saul, you killed your thousands, but David has killed 100,000. I'm about to kill this guy. That's what Saul said. And everybody in their right mind knew that David would be a better leader than Saul. Everybody knew that. So you know what? A couple people came to David and said, hey, bro, listen, I'm going to go to Saul and I'm going to kill him for you. Because now you can become king. I'm going to kill David for you, right? You know what Saul did? Saul had those individuals that tried to kill David killed. Think about that. These people were trying to put him in power, right? And he was like, no, kill them. You know why? Because regardless of what people thought about King Saul, David said, I'm going to respect the position of leadership because I am a servant in this point in time of my life. See, you may be in a situation where you feel like that person that's giving you instructions, that person that's developing you, you know way more than that person, but it's not your time now. Are you willing to serve in the capacity that you are right now to make things happen? Is that the kind of culture that you're developing? Because, see, leaders are only the first servants, guys. That's what leaders are. You are the ultimate servant if you are a leader. Head of your household, you the head servant. Manager of a team, you the lead servant. Project manager here, whatever you do, division manager, you are serving the individuals under you. Do you see that hand right here? You know what this means? This means stand in the gap. That's what true servant leaders do. Are you willing to put yourself on the back burner to make sure everybody else has what they need? That is vision. That is true servant leadership. And that's why I love telling that story of David, because David was a true servant leader. David put all his aspirations on the back burner, and he knew that the Lord would put him in position to be successful when it was his time. So do you have a culture of servant leadership here today, right now? You don't have to answer. I want you to think about it. Are you exhibiting a culture of servant leadership. Because if you ever want to lead, directly or indirectly, you have to be able to serve. And I know what a lot of people think. Hey, why is he the leader? Oh, he's been here 20 years. Don't care. She's been here 50 years. I don't care how long you've been here. I don't care what your title is. I don't care what part of town you come from. I don't care how much money you have. None of that stuff makes you a leader. Assets don't make you a leader. Attitude makes you a leader. Action makes you a leader. Acquiring what you need for everybody around you makes you a leader. I don't care what your title is. I can tell who was leading by the way y'all came in here this morning. But see, you have to value yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to love yourself, because you can't lead and love other people if you don't love and value yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, development is a process. It is something that you have to do on a day-to-day basis. It will not happen overnight. I'm not expecting you to make all these changes overnight. I'm simply expecting you to make the decision to make these changes overnight. As a matter of fact, make the decision to make the change right now. If there's something that you're doing on a day-to-day basis when you come to work that is not exhibiting quality speech, that is not developing a winning culture, that is not communicating effectively, make the decision to change it right now. Because this is your stage. This is your playground. This is your arena. Every day you come in contact with somebody, you have the opportunity to take somebody's life or save somebody's life. You don't think it's that real, it's that real. So as you leave this conference room today, I want you to ask yourself one question: what kind of culture am I developing? And if you want to develop a winning culture, put yourself on the back burner, put other people before you, and make the decision to cultivate a culture of change, a culture of positivity, and a culture of progress. And then you will be successful to be a winner. That is what it takes, and that is what it will take for you to move forward in life. My name is Jonathan Rivers. I appreciate your time. God bless y'all. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.